bit like you're dressing up as Set, our Vader Set, shouting off, entertaining to profane idiots, all whilst real issues are ignored that are of high importance. No different to a Knights of Malta football game to keep you ignorant. Why don't you tell the people, Alex, how Disneyland are used to program child slaves? But you can't do that, can you, because of ABC? Don't believe me if you don't want, but do a study on an ex-Disney director called Victor Ronald Salva, S-A-L-V-A, and what happened to him for abusing children back in 1988. So when you watch his film Jeepers Creepers, you know why it's sick and twisted. Let's also talk about the B-movie staged arrests of Alex Jones, especially the one where he's taken away from George W. Bush, and of course the one prior to his video coming out. They're all setups to get you suckered into following his false tunes from the Pipe intelligence agency flute. I wonder if him and Tex Mars share spit on the end of that filthy traitorous flute. When you're first getting into conspiracy, you see Alex Jones as some kind of a god. You even get a buzz out of seeing him arrested. This is what British intelligence actually want. And it's a sucker-in job, agenda. Then when you start to learn what's going on about Alex, well, all that tends to go away quickly, and you see how really pathetic it actually is, and was. Just the same as Ewan's pathetic life in the mix and illusion of the conspiracy you couldn't see when he was deeply profane. So Alex, why haven't you addressed the genocide of nearly 1 million Croatians due to the Vatican? Tell the people about the San Francisco Federal Court case, Alperin v Vatican Bank back in 1999, ALPERIN. Let's get some facts going, Alex. You also haven't spoke of how Catholics were pacifying the Indonesian islanders under Japanese control. Let's see what the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Japan says about it all. Come on, give us some facts for once. Deep facts. How can you ignore Vatican control and crimes? You're just another Patrick Buchanan. So now I'd like to also let you listen to a quick clip of what Freeman Fly had to say when he was speaking with Eric Phelps in an interview not long back, and notice what he says about Alex Jones and when he appears big.
Because it was HW's announcement for the New World Order. To me, it was so obviously an inside job, and I wondered if it was designed as such so that it would cause a schism and create an Alex Jones, so that then there's this more infighting with us.
Why, sure, because you have to divide the camp of the enemy before you conquer them, and you have to smite the shepherd so that the sheep can be scattered. So you have to discredit real leaders, and then you have to create infighting among others through Operation Mockingbird and other things like that, where you control the alternative media, and then you can continue to sow this discord while at the same time planning your next terrorist event.
Now we get to the what we really want to go on about, what Alex has done recently with his hatchet job video. So, in this video, Tex Mars researched Eric John Phelps did it. What a great letdown this Tex Mars is after all, you know. How can anyone follow this Tex Mars ever again after this nonsense hatchet's job? It's desperate. So, Eric supposedly, according to Alex CIA Jones, claims, quote, only he is not a Vatican agent in the Patriot movement, quote. Well, Eric has never said this whatsoever. This is Alex's way of demonising Eric in the eyes of the blinkered flock to protect himself as usual. So Tex Mars is a Protestant pastorism. That figure, seen as Protestantism, has been taken over fully by the Society of Jesus and is full of phonies. If Tex Mars was a true Protestant, it wouldn't have gone quiet on the Antichristus Vatican for the last 4 years or so. Anyone who's a Protestant should be protesting the Vatican. Otherwise you are no longer a Protestant, period. In most cases you're a tempora coadjutor, willingly or stupidly doing the bidding of the Pope for his temporal power and global governance. So tell me why someone whose family supposedly was being targeted for death by the Jesuits for running Bibles in Texas. Tell me why somebody would just ignore Rome after that. Tell me why anybody would be a traitor to their own family if this case was so. This then shows the type of person we're dealing with, doesn't it? Now I'll play a 3.5 minute recording of a true patriot known as Hiram Dukes, Haram, as in Hiram Abiff, and what he tells you on Jesuit infiltration of Protestant churches, or once Protestant churches. So here we go with that.
Scholars, and they were sticking up their fingers for a ride. I said, I'll just pick them up and put them in the back seat and see what I can find out from them. And so when they got in the back seat and was seated, I asked them, I said, you boys are from Georgetown University taking the priesthood, aren't you? No, we're not taking the priesthood, they said. Oh, I said, you're scholars from Georgetown University taking something. What are you taking? They said, we're Anglican brothers. Oh, I said, the church has never told us what Anglican brothers are, nor much about them, and I don't know much about them. What do the Anglican brothers do, and what are they for? They said, well, we're taking studies to work with the Protestant churches and get them to come in to do what the church wants them to do, and to work with them and work with us. And I said, well, how many of you folks are taking the course? They said about 780. And I said, how many graduates? Oh, some are between 780 and 700 or 800. No, 700 and 780. I said, now, how many graduated last year? And they told me. And then I said, the year before that. And they told me, and I went back to, we had about 3,800 people graduated and out in the field. And I said, well, what do you boys do when you go out in the field? No, I said, first I want to know how many graduate next year. Well, it said it'll be somewhere under 900 anyway. And I said, how about, what do you do when you graduate? He said, well, the first thing we change our names. And when we change our names, then we're allocated so many to this church, so many to that church, and to another church. And I said, when you go out to the churches, then what do you do? He said, well, first thing we do is look around for some nice young lady that we'd like to make an associate member with, and then we marry them. And after we're married, we go off to a Protestant theological seminary or school, and we come out a Protestant minister. Then we're taught to, in our course, to work up to the heads as fast as we can in that line, where we're supposed to work in. And I said, now, do all of you work in the same field? No, says some of us work, but we all work in the church trying to get the churches to unite with us and do what we want them to do.
So were these Roman Catholic students then?
They were, as far as I learned, from what I learned, they were Jesuits. I know they don't only infiltrate the Protestant churches, but they infiltrate their schools. And I know one fellow that got to be teacher in the Methodist school, and as a result of that, a lot of the Methodist ministers today are carrying communist cards. They utilize anything and everybody to bring their means to an end.
Right, so next, Alex Jones claims he's not going to name any names today. Why is this, Alex Jones? Are you so desperate to have your dig at Eric John Phelps but make sure the majority don't latch on to his amazing, factual, truthful information? You've really screwed up this one, especially Tex when he blabs the website later on. And I believe he's created this site attacking Eric Phelps and myself, and a couple of others from the look of it. And are you worried about being liable, Alex Jones? I mean, I don't think Eric Phelps is going to stoop to using unconstitutional British maritime courts